You're listening to the Reflective Teacher Podcast, and this is episode number 10. I'm Selena Woodward, and I'm an English and drama teacher, university lecturer, and with edufolios.org, a big-time reflective practitioner. So how can reflective practice help you grow your teaching skills, fall in love with your profession all over again, and help you nail accreditation and teacher registration with less stress and less work? Well, this is the Reflective Teacher Podcast. Welcome back. It's the time of the week for the Reflective Teacher Podcast. And this week, I want us to just pause for a moment and reflect on the fact that we have just finished the longest term of this academic year. 11 weeks in South Australia. I think it's pretty similar across every state and territory. Wowzers, how are you feeling after such a long stretch? And if this was your very first term, then absolute massive congratulations. I hope that you are cracking open the champagne and giving the recognition that you deserve to yourself for completing your first term as a full, out there, going for it educator. What an impact and a difference you have made. Thank you, everybody, all teachers across Australia, for working so hard this term to make a massive impact on the future for our students, children, and their families. Now we've taken a moment to appreciate how hard we have all worked. We also need to acknowledge probably the level of tiredness we are all experiencing right now. It's a big job teaching, isn't it? My goodness, it is emotionally and cognitively just massive. So much is expected from us and from our students. And of course, they've been tired too, for goodness knows how many weeks, and we've had to help them through that. What I want to talk about this week on the podcast is how we can better manage our energy and our time to make sure we make time for ourselves. We're going to be talking about something called self-care. I want you to recognize the fact that if you're on holiday right now or about to begin your holiday, you need to make sure that you look after yourself and that you do take time out, the time that you do deserve, and you don't feel guilty about that. I don't want you to spend 2 weeks of the holidays prepping and making your classroom look fabulous and marking books. Sure, let's be honest, there's going to be a little bit of work going on. There always is. School holidays are never really all about relaxation, but there is an opportunity here to work differently in these 2 weeks and make sure we prioritize self-care, rest, and recuperation. So, in this week's podcast, we're going to go through some steps to help us, 1, stop feeling guilty about taking that time out, whether that be in the holidays or in term time, and 2, knowing how we're going to do that. How are we going to take self-care? What does that look like? So hopefully the time that you spend over the next couple of weeks and the way in which you use your time over the coming term might change and evolve a little bit. Why are we doing this on a Reflective Teacher Podcast? Because, my friends, if you are tired, if you are burnt out, if you are questioning why you're doing this and wondering if you can keep doing this, then you are not in the right frame of mind. You have not been taking care of yourself. And it is super important to put yourself first. Do you know how important you are? You are the most important thing, the most important person, the most important artifact, whatever you want to call yourself, in your classroom. It doesn't matter how wonderful your lesson plans are, how beautiful your classroom looks, how prepared you are for the next term. If you don't arrive in your classroom with the energy and enthusiasm you need to deliver what you've created and create the impact you want, then it was pretty much for nothing. You need to make sure you put yourself first, because teaching is all about passion, learning, and growth, and you need energy for that. So let's make sure we prioritize it. I'm going to tackle this guilt thing first, and I'm going to choose to do that because it's something that I struggled with myself, and this was a little task that I was given by someone very wise to do to help me to contextualize exactly what 24 hours looks like and to help me to understand that I give a lot of my time to work and to other people and that it is totally okay to spend some of that time on myself. And in fact, I probably need to work hard to protect it. So if you're multitasking right now, I want you to stop and I want you to go and find a piece of paper. Pause me, go find a piece of paper, preferably some scrap paper because you're going to rip it up. It could be a receipt that you've got in the bottom of your handbag. It doesn't matter. It could be an old lesson plan that you've decided you don't want to keep anymore. Let's reuse that and repurpose it for the purpose of self-care. That piece of paper represents 24 hours, 24 little hours that you have to look after yourself and get everything done in your day. So halfway along that page, we're looking at about 12 hours. A quarter of that page is about 6. Visualize that in your mind. Let's see how your day breaks up. We're going to start with sleep because everybody needs sleep to function. So how many hours a night on average do you sleep? Hopefully it's those wonderful 8 hours, but probably not. Okay, so how many hours do you sleep? Parents, do not include, all the wake-ups that might happen at night. Let's pretend we get to sleep through the night. So how many hours? Judge how far along the piece of paper that would be. And then I want you to rip that paper off. Okay, what you've got left in your hand now is all of your waking hours. That was quite a big chunk, wasn't it, when you look at it like that? You're asleep for quite a lot of your day. And that's not a bad thing. Probably should sleep for more. Okay, now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we are at school today. We're talking about a work day. And I want you to make sure that you take a portion off of your day for work. I want you to include driving to work, commuting there and back, all of those things. If you're someone who breaks your work day up, so maybe you start at 8, you leave site at 3:30, 4 o'clock, go hang out with your family and then start working again when they've gone to bed. Count the hours that you do later as well. Don't forget them. Okay, so how many hours a day are you putting in to work? Rip that off as well, please. Should that really satisfying sound? Great. Okay. Put that down next to the sleep box. Okay, what have you got left in your hand? That was work and sleep. And those are usually the largest chunks of our time. If you're at uni right now, then your time will come in a moment. We'll get to study, but you might have ripped a little bit off your paper for part-time work. All right, so if you're a parent, then you're going to be parenting in between time. So the waking hours of your children when you are parenting, let's rip those off. If you are caring for others or have other responsibilities that are similar, then get that and rip that off too, whether that be caring for animals or people. Let's find that slot, however many hours it is, and tear it off. What are you left with in your hand now? Hopefully you've got something left, okay? Some people don't at this point. And if that's you, we'll talk in a moment. Okay, now, are you studying? If you're at university, this chunk may be larger than your work one. If you are currently working, you may have a small piece of time every day that you dedicate to study. This could include research you're doing into something you're doing at work, a master's degree, an undergrad degree, a professional development course you're undertaking it right now. Whatever it is, if you are studying, take that time away. And if you're not, it's okay not to remove any time. Okay, please tell me you have something left in your hand. How small is it getting? Because I hope you've got enough room now to take away the chores, because you do have things to do in your day, like making food, cleaning, gardening, making the bed, that kind of thing, feeding the dog or the cat. How long does that take? Rip that off your paper too. Okay, I think that's probably most of the jobs that take up time in our day. What are you left holding in your hand? How big can you imagine that piece of paper to be? How big is it? Take a photograph for me of all your pieces of paper. Hold up the strip that's left. Take a photo and tweet it or share it on Instagram with #reflectionist and show me how much of your day is left for you. Is it a big portion or a small portion? And when you look down at all the other pieces of paper that you've discarded, the sleep, the work, the caring for others, the looking after your family and your home, and you're left with this tiny piece of paper, does that help you to feel less guilty about protecting that time for yourself? I genuinely hope so, because it is not okay to give up that tiny piece of time for anything. Whether that be marking and planning, changing the sheets on a bed because you've suddenly decided this is the moment you need to do it. Whatever it is that sneaks into that time needs to be batted away. That is your time to recharge and to take a little self-care. How do you feel about that? Head over to edufolios.org/010 and let us know. And make sure you talk to us too on Twitter and Instagram with that hashtag Reflectionist, because we are super keen to find out. Now, when I did this, my bit of paper was very small, and I have become very, very protective of that tiny piece of time that is mine for self-care. Honestly, I don't manage it every day. I really don't. But there are blocks in my calendar that no one is allowed to touch that are all about me. And I'm cool with that because I can see how much time I put into everything else and everyone else. And that is okay. I've stopped feeling guilty about it. One of the things I struggled with next was what on earth I should do with that time. So the next step is to work out what self-care looks like for you. I actually have a brainstorm that is on my fridge with a magnet that all my friends and family can see that lists the things that I like to do to look after me. That sends a very clear message to everyone that I, Mummy, Selena, CEO, is going to take some time out. On my list are things like walking on the beach. And I love to take my shoes off and feel the sand under my feet and to be grounded in nature. I don't take music to listen to. I just listen to the sea and the birds, and I just am. I just be. And that's what I've discovered self-care is to me. It's a moment to be grounded and to stop and to think. It might be meditation. It might be a Pilates class. It might be music. I play piano and sing. And when I do that, I get lost in that music and everything melts away and I'm in flow and I'm breathing well because I'm singing and I just start to feel calm and I start to feel re-energized. For me, it may also be blogging or reflecting on my thoughts for my day. Not in my Edufolio, not professionally, but personally, and reconnecting with what I've been doing and why. That's also important to me and my self-care. What self-care is not, I have discovered in my experience, is chilling out on Facebook or Instagram and flicking through timelines. And it isn't even sitting on the couch watching Netflix. Because those things stimulate my brain and they fill my brain with thoughts and ideas. And self-care is about stopping. It's about pausing. It's about switching off. And I want you to bear that in mind as you plan for your self-care. So your second step, holding that tiny strip of paper in your hand, is to make a note of all of the things that help you to feel refreshed and recharged. And you're going to stick it on your fridge. In fact, I want you to take a picture of that as well. And I want you to tweet it or put it on Insta and hashtag Reflectionist. In fact, write a blog post about this in your Edufolio if you've got one. Talk about how you are going to manage your work-life balance, because you need to protect that time and you need to focus it on you. Now, if you struggle to switch off and you need a bit of help, if you've not practiced meditation and things like that, it isn't easy. I'm particularly bad at meditation, but I try. I'm going to share with you over at edufolios.org/010, which is today's show notes, a few apps and tools that you can use. Things like calm.com, Buddhify, a really great Twitter bot called Tiny Carebot who talks to you and reminds you to take care of yourself. Smiling Minds, which I know many of us use, the Australian meditation tool. A lot of schools are using it and it has some great tools for grown-ups too. And I'm even going to give you a blog post which contains a load of wonderful pieces of music created by neuroscientists, no less, who are going to help you switch your brain off so you can relax. So head to edufolios.org/010 to grab those links if you need them. Make sure you share with us how this feels, because next term I want you to Dedicate a little piece of your day to you. It could even be in the staff room or between breaks, 5 minutes before the kids get back in the classroom. What are you going to do to make sure you use this time as space for you? We look forward to finding out. And of course, you can join me on facebook.com/edufolios, where we go live every Thursday evening to talk about this. And I'll probably go through the 24-hour exercise live on cam. Why not? Let's see how we can all do it together. Now, next week, we're going to be talking about evidence posts, writing your very first evidence post, and some of the tips that we can share with you to get over the problem of just getting started, to break the ice. So join me next Wednesday to look at top tips for writing your very first evidence post inside your portfolio. I'll see you on Facebook Live, and you can tune in again next Wednesday to the Reflective Teacher podcast. You can find us on iTunes, Google, and Spotify. And if you head to edufolios.org/iTunes, you can even come and give us a review. And we would really appreciate if you could take the time to say hi and tell us what you like about the podcast, because the more people who review that podcast, the more teachers can find out about it, will be connected to it, and the more people we can help and support. So we would really appreciate your help with that. Just head to edufolios.org/iTunes and you'll get directed straight to the page you need to be on to write that review. All right, I will see you next week when we're talking about evidence posts on the Reflective Teacher podcast. Take care.